In July 2021, the quiet, idyllic community of Pinehurst was rocked by an event no one could have anticipated, one that would forever alter the course of life for its residents. Nestled in a serene suburban setting, Pinehurst had always been the picture of perfect tranquility, with neatly manicured lawns and white picket fences that epitomize the ideal American dream. Neighbors shared friendly hellos, children played freely in the streets until dusk, and the local school served as the heart of the community. Yet beneath this seemingly flawless exterior, secrets simmered and tensions began to build, setting the stage for a shocking turn of events. At the center of this drama were the Martins, David, a 42-year-old real estate developer, and his wife Claire, a 39-year-old homemaker. David was a man of charisma and confidence, known for his sharp business acumen and the charm that followed him everywhere. His success in the competitive world of real estate had made him a well-known figure in Pinehurst, admired by many but also envied by others. His colleagues and clients respected his persuasive skills, which had secured him numerous lucrative deals. David frequently entertained clients and networked at the local golf club, where his magnetic presence often made him the focal point of any gathering. Claire, in contrast, was the epitome of elegance and dedication. She had put her career in event planning on hold to focus entirely on raising their two children, Emily and Jack. Claire poured her energy into family life, school activities, charity work, and the local church. Her nurturing nature and warm personality made her a beloved member of the community, often seen organizing bake sales or volunteering at the food bank. To the outside world, the Martins seemed like the perfect couple, successful, loving, and deeply involved in their social circles. Also living nearby was Emma Walsh, a 28-year-old kindergarten teacher who had recently moved to Pinehurst with her 5-year-old son, Noah. Emma had left behind a difficult past marked by a painful divorce and had come to Pinehurst seeking a fresh start. With her warm smile and nurturing spirit, she quickly became a beloved figure at Pinehurst Elementary, known for staying late to assist students or chat with parents. Her bond with her son Noah was evident to everyone who saw them together. Noah, shy yet intelligent, was the center of Emma's world. None of the residents of Pinehurst could have foreseen that these seemingly ordinary lives would collide in such a devastating and catastrophic way. David Martin, always driven by ambition, had worked tirelessly to climb the ranks in the real estate market. Raised in a modest family, he had been instilled with a relentless work ethic by his hard-working but financially struggling parents. By his early 40s, he had become a powerful figure in Pinehurst, known for his shrewd business sense and silver-tongued negotiations. Claire, on the other hand, came from a well-established family. The daughter of a retired judge and a social worker, she had grown up in comfort and security, surrounded by music lessons, vacations to exotic places, and the stability of an affluent upbringing. She met David at a charity auction, where his determination and charm immediately captivated her. Their whirlwind romance culminated in a swift courtship, and they married within a year in an extravagant ceremony. No one could have predicted that this seemingly perfect family would become at the center of a tragic and shocking event that would change Pinehurst forever. The early years of David and Claire's marriage solidified their place as one of the most admired couples in the community. Their life together was filled with love, shared dreams, and the excitement of building a future. David's career in real estate thrived, while Claire found joy and fulfillment in raising their two children, Emily and Jack. She was the ideal corporate wife, known for hosting extravagant parties and engaging in community service. Her ability to balance motherhood and her social duties made her a role model in Pinehurst, admired by neighbors and friends alike. However, as David's career demands grew, so did the emotional distance between them. His long hours at the office meant missed family dinners and school events, leaving Claire to shoulder the responsibilities of parenting alone. The once vibrant connection they shared began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of loneliness and unspoken tension. By the summer of 2021, the cracks in their marriage had deepened into significant rifts. David's absences became more frequent, and even when he was home, his attention was consumed by his work, his phone constantly buzzing with emails and messages that needed his focus. At the same time, Claire, now in her late 30s, wrestled with feelings of isolation and dissatisfaction. She had put aside her own career and personal goals to support David and raise their children, a sacrifice that began to weigh heavily on her as she watched her husband become more distant. For his part, David was feeling the pressure of his success. The real estate market was cutthroat, and keeping his position at the top required constant effort and attention. The strain of balancing work and family life was wearing him down, and he found himself yearning for an escape. It was during this turbulent period that he met Emma Walsh at a neighborhood fundraiser. Her warmth and kindness stood in stark contrast to the cold, tense atmosphere he had grown accustomed to at home. They shared a brief conversation, exchanging stories about their children and offering polite compliments. For David, that short exchange would mark the beginning of a complicated and dangerous path. The brief encounter between David and Emma left an impression that would change the course of their lives. Over the following months, their interactions became more frequent, at school functions, community events, and through increasingly personal text messages. Emma, still healing from her divorce, found herself drawn to David's charm and the attention he gave her. He made her feel special and appreciated, emotions she hadn't experienced in a long time. For David, Emma offered a welcome escape from the growing tensions at home and the relentless pressure of his career. Their friendship quickly developed into a secret affair, fueled by stolen moments and covert meetings. Their first kiss occurred in late June at a local park, while their children, Noah and Emily, played nearby. David had offered to help Emma carry a heavy box of supplies for a school project. As they stood in the shade of an old oak tree, their conversation shifted to more personal matters. Emma opened up about her struggles as a single mother and her fears for the future. David, moved by her vulnerability, reached out to comfort her. The kiss that followed was electric, igniting a passion neither had experienced in years. From that moment on, they were inseparable, meeting in secluded spots around Pinehurst, renting motel rooms, and even sneaking encounters at Emma's house while Noah was at school. The affair brought excitement and renewal to David's life, while Emma felt alive and desired again. But the guilt lingered. Emma constantly worried about the consequences for her son and her career, while David, though increasingly distant from Claire, still felt the weight of betraying his family. As the summer progressed, it became harder to keep their secret hidden. Near misses and suspicious glances from neighbors heightened their anxiety. Claire, already on edge, began to notice David's frequent absences and distracted behavior. The tension in the Martin household reached a breaking point, setting the stage for the tragic events that were soon to unfold. As their relationship deepened, the excitement of the affair became an escape for David, who found himself disillusioned with both his work and home life. For Emma, being with David made her feel valued and desired in a way she hadn't since her marriage fell apart. However, the guilt of their actions continued to gnaw at both of them. Emma worried about how the affair would affect her son, Noah, and her career. She feared the scandal it could cause if their secret was exposed, and the potential damage to her reputation and ability to provide for Noah. Despite these fears, she couldn't bring herself to end the affair. David, though more distant from Claire, also felt remorse for betraying his family. He often found himself lying awake at night, torn between his responsibilities to his wife and children and the happiness he found with Emma. As the summer went on, their secret became harder to keep. Close calls and suspicious looks from neighbors added to their stress. One afternoon, they narrowly avoided being seen while sneaking a quick kiss behind some bushes at the park. On another occasion, Claire found a receipt from a cafe where David had met Emma, leading to an awkward confrontation that David barely managed to deflect. Claire, already anxious from the growing emotional distance in her marriage, began to notice more signs of David's detachment. She saw how he constantly checked his phone, how he had vague excuses for coming home late, and how he seemed increasingly irritable and distant. The tension in the Martin household reached a boiling point, with arguments becoming more frequent. Claire's frustration and suspicion grew, but she hesitated to confront David directly, fearing that it would confirm her worst fears. David and Emma's affair, once a source of excitement and joy, had transformed into a web of deceit and lies. Each secret meeting became a high-risk venture, and the thrill of their forbidden relationship was now overshadowed by a mounting sense of guilt and the constant fear of being discovered. As they tried to maintain this delicate balance, the strain of living a double life began to take its toll. David's performance at work began to decline, and Emma found it increasingly difficult to focus on her teaching responsibilities. By the end of July, the tension between them was palpable. Emma, feeling the weight of the situation, suggested they take a break, hoping that some time apart might give them the clarity they needed. David, though reluctant, agreed, but the separation only intensified their desire for one another. They continued to text and call, their conversations filled with longing, regret, and the desperate hope that they could find a way to be together without ruining everything. The stage was set for a confrontation that would forever alter the course of their lives. The lies, the secrets, and the simmering emotions were all about to collide in a way neither of them had anticipated. As the days grew hotter and the oppressive summer heat settled over Pinehurst, the once peaceful community teetered on the brink of a scandal that would change it forever. On July 25, 2021, the weather mirrored the tense atmosphere in the air, thick with humidity and charged with anticipation. It was a Sunday, a day typically reserved for family and relaxation. The residents of Pinehurst went about their usual routines, unaware that a storm was brewing just beneath the surface. David had come up with a believable excuse to spend the afternoon at Emma's house, telling Claire he needed to meet with a client, something that was a routine part of his work and usually didn't raise suspicion. Meanwhile, Emma had arranged for her son Noah to attend a friend's birthday party, ensuring they would have the house to themselves. The plan seemed foolproof, but Claire had grown increasingly suspicious of David's frequent absences and vague explanations. That morning, Claire observed David more closely than usual, noticing the extra care he took in choosing his clothes and the slight tremor in his hands as he grabbed his keys. Her instincts screamed that something was wrong. Determined to uncover the truth, she decided to follow him. David drove through the winding streets of Pinehurst, unaware that Claire was following him from a distance. Her heart pounded in her chest, a mix of fear and anticipation mounting as she watched him pull into Emma's driveway. Claire's worst suspicions had been confirmed. She parked her car a short distance away, her mind racing with anger, betrayal, and disbelief. Inside Emma's modest but charming home, the atmosphere was one of stolen bliss. David and Emma, oblivious to the impending confrontation, were relaxing on the couch, enjoying a rare moment of peace. David's arm was draped around Emma's shoulders, their fingers intertwined as they softly talked, laughed, and savored the intimacy their secret relationship allowed them. Little did they know, their peaceful moment was about to be shattered. Claire sat frozen in her car, her chest tightening as her heart pounded uncontrollably. She gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles turning white as she fought to steady her trembling hands. The laughter spilling from the house was a blade, slicing through her composure. The carefully constructed facade of her life was collapsing, leaving her engulfed in uncertainty. She couldn't endure it any longer. She had to confront them, to uncover the truth. Fueled by a cocktail of heartbreak and rage, Claire threw the car door open and marched toward the house. She hesitated briefly at the door, the sounds of merriment and closeness within stoking her fury. Without knocking, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The scene before her was a waking nightmare. David and Emma sprang apart as if burned, their faces etched with guilt and shock. For an agonizing moment, the room was enveloped in silence, thick with unspoken accusations and searing emotions. Claire's face twisted with anger and pain as her eyes locked onto David's. Her voice, shaking with betrayal, tore through the stillness. "What the hell is going on here?" she demanded, each word a blade of hurt and fury. David, caught completely off guard, stammered, "Claire? I can explain." But Claire was beyond explanations. Her anger surged like a tidal wave, swallowing reason. Her words flew like daggers, cutting deeper with every syllable. Emma, pale and shaken, tried to interject, her voice quivering with pleas for calm, but her efforts were futile, drowned by the roaring tempest of Claire's wrath. "You betrayed me!" Claire's voice cracked under the weight of her emotions. "How could you do this to us, to our family?" David extended a hand toward her, attempting to placate her, but the gesture only amplified her fury. Claire's eyes fell on a heavy vase resting on the mantel. In a heartbeat, she seized it, her actions driven by pure, unfiltered rage. Before anyone could react, she swung the vase at David, the first blow landing on his shoulder with a sickening thud, sending him staggering backward. But Claire, fueled by years of pent-up frustration and heartbreak, did not relent. She struck again, each impact reverberating through the room. Emma, horrified and trembling, fumbled for her phone, her fingers slipping as she dialed 911. Her voice shook as she stammered to the operator, "Please, please send help. There's been an attack. Someone's seriously hurt." David's cries echoed through the room, growing weaker with each blow. Blood spattered the walls, the floor, and even Claire herself. She was lost in a haze of fury, her movements mechanical and relentless. Emma, paralyzed by shock, could do nothing but scream into the phone. "Stay with me!" Emma's voice cracked as she sobbed. "He's not moving! There's so much blood!" The operator's calm voice barely registered as Emma choked out their address, her words incoherent through the storm of her emotions. The metallic tang of blood filled the air, and the sight of David's limp, bloodied body seared itself into her mind. David, bleeding profusely, weakly raised his arms in a feeble attempt to defend himself. The once pristine room was now a canvas of chaos. Furniture stained, walls splattered, and life itself crumbling under the weight of betrayal and violence. Claire's fury had consumed her, transforming her into an unstoppable force. She stood over David, panting heavily, her hands trembling as the vase slipped from her grip and shattered on the floor. Her wild eyes scanned the scene, and reality began to seep into her mind, a horrifying realization of what she had done. By the time the police arrived, the living room was an unrecognizable battlefield, steeped in silence, blood, and shattered lives. Here's a rewritten version of your script with unique phrasing and reworded sentences. Destruction surrounded her. Furniture lay overturned, blood streaked the walls, and David's body was nearly unrecognizable, marked by the severity of his fatal injuries. Claire stood frozen above him, the shattered vase still trembling in her grip. Her face was a twisted mask of anguish and disbelief as the weight of her actions began to settle in. Officers swiftly restrained Claire, carefully prying the bloodied vase from her hands and placing her in handcuffs. She didn't resist. Her body was limp, her expression vacant, as though the reality of what had just transpired had yet to fully sink in. Emma, still paralyzed by shock, stammered through the officer's questions, her voice trembling and fractured. Paramedics worked desperately to revive David, but their efforts were futile. He was gone, his life snuffed out in an act of savage finality. Claire had ensured that betrayal would never again touch her family in such a brutal and irreversible way. The aftermath of the violence was eerily quiet, the air thick with an unnatural stillness. The once tranquil home was now a scene of horror. Outside, neighbors gathered, drawn by the wail of sirens and the pulsing red and blue of police lights. Their faces mirrored a mixture of shock and morbid curiosity, as the perfect image of their tight-knit community was shattered before their eyes. Pinehurst, a place once defined by its serene streets and picturesque homes, would never be the same. The eruption of rage within the Martin household left scars that ran deeper than the walls of their home. As the oppressive heat of the day gave way to dusk, the echoes of what had occurred hung heavy, a storm that had obliterated everything in its path. The incident sent ripples far beyond the quiet streets of Pinehurst. The trial of Claire Martin captivated the nation, exposing the dark undercurrents lurking beneath the pristine facades of suburban life. The courtroom was a theater of drama, packed with reporters, townspeople, and curious spectators eager to witness the unraveling of a tragedy. Claire's defense hinged on a plea of temporary insanity, her lawyers arguing that the unbearable emotional anguish of discovering her husband's infidelity had driven her to a breaking point. The prosecution, however, presented a starkly different narrative, one of deliberate, calculated rage. They painted Claire as a woman consumed by bitterness and capable of premeditated violence. The testimonies during the trial were harrowing. Emma, visibly shaken, spoke of the affair and the suffocating guilt that had haunted both her and David. Friends and colleagues of David described his charisma and ambition, while neighbors detailed the tension that had visibly grown within the Martin household in recent months. In a moment of profound vulnerability, Claire took the stand. Her voice trembled as she described the pain and isolation that had consumed her in the years leading up to that fateful day. She spoke of the sacrifices she had made for her family, of feeling overlooked and cast aside as David's career overshadowed their relationship. Her words offered a glimpse into the fragility of love and the devastating consequences when trust and balance are shattered. The trial left an indelible mark on all who witnessed it, forcing Pinehurst to confront the shadows hidden behind its white picket fences. The haunting memory of that day, with all its heartbreak and brutality, lingered long after the final verdict was delivered, a stark reminder of how quickly a life of outward perfection can unravel into chaos.